Good evening. Okay, so today is the last Tuesday in August. It's August 28th. Apologies, I do have the beginning of a cold. So I kind of had an epiphany last week, which is that I felt like I don't really know how to talk to people about Shakeology. Like I don't know what to say. Like I know that I love it and I know that I feel amazing drinking it. And I know scientifically what's really great about it for the most part. But I was having a hard time connecting, the conversation starter, which is like, do you want to try this? And they're like, yeah, what is it? And I'm like, so what I ended up doing, I just Googled, or not even Googled, I went on YouTube and I typed in how to talk about Shakeology. And I came up with a couple of really good videos. And I remember listening to a National Wake Up Call a while ago with a girl named Shay Stanford. And when Jeff was talking to her, she didn't talk about Shakeology on this particular National Wake Up Call, but he said to her, I know you are like the Shakeology guru of coaches, and even though we're not going to talk about that, and I'm like, oh, I should look her up, and then I immediately forgot. So I came across a video of one of the top coaches, and she was talking about it, and she said, all the information that she got from Shay Stanford. So I looked her up, and I've been kind of going through some of the videos on YouTube, and some of them are recordings from Summit, and some are just videos that she's done, a long time ago, but obviously they're still very relevant. So I wanted to share some of the takeaways that I got and kind of condense what I got that mostly is how to start conversations with people, because I think that's definitely where I struggle. Because I feel like, what do you say? It's a protein drink, but it's not. And well, it's a meal replacement. Well, yeah, but it's not like Slim Fast, which is also a meal replacement drink. What do we say? So yeah, I know, Melissa, but so basically the way that, so most of this again comes from Shay Stanford, who she's basically done as much research as any one single human besides Darren Aline can possibly do. And so what she does is when she starts out a conversation with somebody, she says to them okay, well, what interests you? Is it the health benefits or is it the weight loss? And then that kind of cues people in that, okay, well, it's not a weight, it's not a weight loss shake. It's not necessarily just a protein shake, obviously we know that, we know it's not a protein shake, but a lot of people, they don't know what it is. They think it's a shake like any other shake. So obviously our job is to kind of explain to them and share information with them that teaches them that, why it is so different. Yes, it has protein, but it's not a protein shake. Yes, you can drink it as a meal, but no, it's not necessarily a meal replacement shake. So she starts out by saying, okay, well, what interests you? Is it the health benefits or is it the weight loss? And so then they start thinking, oh, what are the health benefits? Because, probably 95% of the people who are going to be interested in it are oh yeah, I need to lose a couple of pounds. But interestingly enough, the last 2 months, I've talked with 3 people who are well, I don't need to lose any weight, so I'm not really interested in Shakeology. And I'm well, it's not really, it's not just for weight loss. And actually another story, my first Super Saturday that I went to, I'm blanking on names as usual, but it's even worse tonight. She spoke at Summit on the main stage, and she's blonde, and she's from here in Asheville. What in the world is her name?
I'm forgetting her name, but I know it's the girl from Asheville.
Michelle Myers.
Michelle Myers.
Yeah. Okay. Michelle Myers spoke at Super Saturday, the first one that I went to, and she told us her story about being, she used to be anorexic, essentially, and she was pushing 95 pounds, basically. And so she was on a diet, prescribed by her doctor, which was 2 Ensure drinks and a peanut butter sandwich before bed. And she said that she basically like threw it up every single night and she couldn't stomach it. And so when she found out about Shakeology, she was like, oh my God, like don't even come near me with a shake. And so she started, but for whatever reason, she started drinking it. And she said in the first month that she was drinking Shakeology, she gained 10 pounds. And this was like at the very beginning before she was a coach. And I think she's been a coach for 6 or 7 years. So she said she had the opportunity shortly after becoming a coach to meet Isabel Deichler. And she pulled her aside and she said, I got to talk to you about this shake. And she's like, you probably don't want to be telling people this because I started drinking your shake and I gained 10 pounds. And so Isabel looked at her and she's like, well, you look like you needed to gain 10 pounds. She's like, oh. But, so she had this conversation with Isabel, and Isabel's basically like, it does for your body, it makes your body do what it needs to do to put you in a state of health. And that's its job. So if you're overweight, it'll help you lose weight. If you're underweight, it'll help you gain weight in a healthy way because, we know that it feeds your cells. It feeds your body on a cellular level by, being so full of all the micronutrients. So that was the first time that I really kind of heard anything about Shakeology besides just like, it's amazing. Like, great. This is, it's got good stuff in it. So as I was listening to these recordings that Shay had done, when she talks to people about what it does for you, because a lot of people think, okay, well, I'm going to drink it and lose weight. And then when they get to their goal weight, they're like, great, I don't need to drink it anymore. But when she starts the conversation with people saying, what are you interested in? Like the health benefits or the weight loss? Then it cues them in to think, great, it's great for weight loss. That's awesome. Oh, but what are the other health benefits? And then you have the opportunity to share more with them about what it does. So some of the other things that it does, basically, it's the equivalent of 5 salads in one sitting. There's that many phytonutrients and adaptogens in it. And that's like if you have a salad with all of the crazy stuff that nobody ever can eat. I don't know if you've all seen that graphic. It's like, here's a Shakeology in a cup. And then next to it is 30 shots of wheatgrass and 5 onions and, a pound of mushrooms and 2 pounds of radishes, all of the stuff that you would never sit down and eat. And then it has a cost breakdown as well. So it's $4 for Shakeology and $36 for all this other stuff or whatever it is. I don't know if it's $36. But basically, there's so much in it. So it's the equivalent of 5 salads or the equivalent of 9 servings of fruits and veggies, all in one, and we know as Americans, we don't get enough, definitely vegetables, but probably even the, good high quality fruit. The majority of Americans eat red delicious apples and old oranges from the grocery store and bananas. People aren't eating a lot of papaya and, pineapple that have the bromelain, which are the digestive enzymes in them. So all of these different things, it's obviously so much more dense than anything else that we would be eating from the grocery store. So it's full of superfoods. Obviously we know that, but what are superfoods? What do they do? Superfoods that's what, a superfood means that it has a high ratio of nutrition, so high nutrition, low calories. And so what causes that is the amount of phytonutrients and adaptogens. And these are the compounds that plants create. It's what makes it, it's what makes each plant unique. I don't know if you're aware, in Chinese medicine, they use all the different kinds of the plants, dandelion root is a really good, tonic for the liver. It helps your liver. And so all of those things that make plants, over the thousands of years and generations that humans have been using herbals, it's what makes different herbs and plants good for different parts of your body. And that's what they are. So in essence, what superfoods do, kind of to boil it down to 3 key things, is they boost your immune system, they reduce inflammation, and they repair your gastrointestinal tract. And when you look at the prevalence of disease in the, Western cultures, inflammation is pretty much the primary cause of every single disease, from cancer, diabetes, heart disease, like colitis, and gastrointestinal disorders. It's all due to inflammation on some level. And so when you give your body the resources that it needs to help itself fight down the inflammation, your body is going to be healthier and it's going to function better. And then another really cool thing is that when your body builds cells and rebuilds cells that, because every 7 years or something, our body basically totally replaces all the cells in our body. It builds those cells from the food that we put into our body. So when we fuel our body with good things like Shakeology, we are building up the building blocks of our body, and we're making our body better able to fight off disease and fight off inflammation and environmental stress and physical stress from the pollution or whatever cleaners we happen to use in our house that aren't 100% organic, whatever it happens to be. That's how our body functions best. So that's kind of like disease prevention, is like the long-term health benefits that you can talk to people about, so that when they get to their goal weight, they're not going to be like, oh, I'm done, I don't really need it anymore, thanks, bye. That's kind of like the overview, what I've gotten from her so far. But so I'd be curious to hear, like, how do you guys, like, how do you talk about Shakeology to people? Because like I struggle, and so I would love to hear, like, if you guys have anything that you say that works really well, or if you're stuck too, like, what have you said that like maybe doesn't work, and maybe we can just kind of talk for a few minutes and like talk through a conversation with people. Does anybody want to start? Yes, Melissa.
I'll start. Just what you were saying about Chinese medicine, my acupuncturist is on my team, and she is all over the ingredients. Like, she looked at a package and she's like, oh yeah, that. One of the things that's interesting is she, in Eastern medicine, the cold is an issue, like eating very cold things. So, yes. So I don't know if you've heard that before, but, so I don't know what I do to talk about. I mean, it just depends I talk to everybody and anybody about Shakeology. Like, I just talk about it. It's just like I talk about beach party. I was talking to my husband, and I was like, it's like a part of me as much as working in clinical research. I think it's just a part of how I talk. But like, if somebody is talking about a digestive problem, I will definitely talk about how it's helped me there, because it's completely controlled my IBS. Sorry, TMI, Laura, I just met you. But, it's totally helped me there. Or if they're talking about energy, I'll talk about, how it's helped me with energy. Or if they talk about, like some of the things I posted in the thread, how it's helped me with digestion, just, energy, stamina, getting all my nutrients in a day, because it's really impossible. Like, honestly, like, I drank my shake today. I mixed it with my Recover. I know you probably shouldn't do that, but I did. I mixed it because I needed my Recover after today's leg workout. It was crazy. But so like, I'll talk about that. Like, it's really hard, even for kids, it's really hard to just eat everything. Like you said, like this, it's like 15 salads in one. It's really hard to, no one can eat that way if you're at a cafeteria, if you're at anywhere else. Like, I think Melissa posted something on a Chick-fil-A lunch that was like a kale salad and grilled chicken today. But like, generally, that's not what you get, when you go to a cafeteria, when you go to a fast food restaurant. And that's the way we live. We live in this fast-paced environment. Who the heck can eat that way? So the way I talk about it is, even if I eat like crap the rest of the day, I know I'm covered nutrition-wise. And I have a disease it's really important, nutrition. Everything I read now is how important nutrition and exercise is for MS maintenance. So, I kind of talk to them on that front, bringing in the disease front. I'm sure that Amber does too, bringing in the disease front, helping your body work the best it can. That's really what I talk about.
That's a really good point, actually. I was talking to a girl today. I've known her since we were like 5, and she signed up a year ago in April, and she ordered Shakeology once, and she's been like paying her coach fees ever since, and she has Beachbody on Demand. She said like she just hasn't been using it, and so finally we reconnected today and got to talk on the phone, and she's like, I'm so overwhelmed with the whole thought of food, like food prep and like what to cook, and we eat like crap, and I know we do, and she's like, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, like let's just get you back on Shakeology. Because then, and exactly what you said, like I was like, then if you eat like crap the rest of the day, you know you've had your nutrients for the day. You know that's going to be something that's going to help you, you know, start to get on track. And that's one easy step that you can take, you know, every day. You know you're getting a good meal, and then we can slowly work in everything else. And so I think it's actually that kind of jogged my memory too, which was like, that's a good way to bring it up to people who, you know, they need something easy. Like this is the easiest thing that you can possibly do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
The only thing I've ran into problems with is like on the whole IBS front and the whole like what is it Isabella or Isabel?
Isabel
Dykler. What she was saying is, okay, so I have a friend, she's a very good friend since high school. So I gave her samples, like 7 days of Shakeology. And she had some GI problems and issues, you know, gas. And she was like, that stuff is poison. She's like, well, never drink it again. So how do you confront? I mean, it's just part of it, you know.
Well, actually, that was
cleaned out.
right. Exactly. That was what that was another thing that Shay talked about in one of her videos, which is she said she does not recommend that people drink it for any less than 7 days to start, like 7 days in a row, because she said days 1 through probably 4 or even 5, maybe people are going to be like, because, you know, the way that your digestive system, and Melissa, I'm sure you know this, like the way that for the most people, for most Americans, like your digestive system is pretty much backed up because you have not been having enough fiber, you don't have enough digestive enzymes, you don't have enough probiotics. And so the flora, the microflora in your gut is way off balance. And so when you add in Shakeology, which has, you know, fiber, it has probiotics, it has phytonutrients, it has, you know, all the good stuff in it. What it does is it disrupts everything in your digestion. And so you will get that gassiness, you'll get that bloating, you'll get, you know, you might use the restroom a couple of times. Go lay down. My husband just got home and my dogs lose their bananas. So what it does is it goes through and like it scrubs your digestion. And so it gets rid of all that, which is a good thing. And you have those enzymes breaking down all of that stuff that's kind of been building up in your digestive system that your body hasn't eliminated for who knows how long. And so she said that when you talk to people, tell them to expect that. Mm-hmm. Like when they order, say, you know, I don't know what your nutrition has been like for the past, you know, however long, but do expect that the first, you know, maybe even full week that you drink this, you will find that, you know, this, and this will happen. And then after that, your digestion will feel so much better and you'll be more regular and all the things that, you know, we know and talk about all the time. Cause like we all talk about poop. So, but you know, she tells people to expect that.
Yeah. And since this, my friend, Danielle, she said to me, since she told me I will never drink that again because it was so embarrassing and since that, and she was best friend. So I gave it to her early on. I gave her 7 days. And you said it much more eloquently, but what I said is you probably had a lot of shit in your intestines that you needed to clean out. Sorry, I'm cursing if the kids around. I'm like, so you just need to get that shit out. But basically the same thing you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a not so nice way because I've known her since I was 14. So.
Amber, what do you have to add? Amber always has good things to add.
Actually, speaking on what you guys were just talking about, another reason why it makes you so gassy, and this is actually something I've been researching recently. Let me see if I get my phone to stay up. Your body, your digestive tract really kind of gets, like you all have heard of homeostasis. Like it gets used to digesting whatever you're normally putting into it. So when you're putting a lot of vegetables, because this doesn't just happen when people try Shakeology. It happens when people add a lot of vegetables to their diet too, because they get all this fiber and all these veggies that their body doesn't know how to break down, doesn't have the right microflora to break it down. So for that first week, your body breaks it down and it can't break down like all the gas and whatnot that accompanies it until your microflora changes and it gets used to it. So I always kind of suggest, well, one of the first questions, and I don't know, I think it was from my own experience and my husband's experience, but one of the first questions I ask when somebody says that they're considering it is I ask them if they're prone to having gas trouble when eating certain foods. Because if they say they are, then I suggest that they either get like Beano or Gas-X and have that for the first week that they're drinking it. And I also recommend that for people that are not doing Shakeology, but just trying to eat healthier, like our challengers and stuff. If they're not used to eating salads, I'll ask them that. I'm like, I get away with it really easily because I'm a nurse and we talk about poo and all that stuff pretty pretty easily, so people expect it from me. But just add that in there and ask them, because you might be able to kind of get them to think about it a different way, rather than thinking, oh, that shake is going to cause this for me. It's not the shake that's causing it. It's the fiber and the veggies and stuff that are in the shake that if you were to eat them off of a plate would cause the same problems. So I just kind of approach it that way. Oh, there was something else I was going to say way early on in the call. What were you talking about? Crap. Oh, the weight loss. I actually had, for those of you that have been around long enough or watch enough of the videos, you'll know about the infamous friend that accused me of being a snake oil salesman. Her first thing that came out of her mouth before that did was, I'm not interested in that because I don't need to gain weight. I need to lose weight, because she saw a post about one of our fellow coaches who actually gained weight on the shake because she had digestive issues, which ironically is the same problems that my friend was having. She was having digestive issues as well. She just was overweight before that started. So she was like, I don't need to gain. Shoot, I can't even think of how many pounds it was. It was a good like 25 pounds or something like that. But this coach was so sick and so underweight that she was like, no, I don't want to say anorexic, because she wasn't that tiny, but she was like really tiny plus bloated. So she just looked, that is how a lot of people that have really bad digestion issues, or even like starving people, how their stomachs do that. So she was showing the difference between, when she was underweight and unhealthy to her healthier weight, and how much like the Shakeology helped. But then I told her, I'm like, well, no, but I lost 20 pounds while I was drinking it, so, and she could not wrap her mind around like how one person could gain 20 pounds and how one person could lose 20 pounds all from the shake. And I said, you're thinking about this all wrong. Like, this isn't a meal replacement shake that's, filled with fillers and crap to just fill you up so you don't want to eat anything. And it's basically a big void of stuff with maybe a little bit of sugar and a little bit of protein in it. It's basically like taking all of the veggies and fruits and protein and all this stuff that you wish that you could put in this giant meal that would be just amazing for you, and putting it simplified into a glass for you. When people are saying like, but I don't need to gain weight, or I don't need to lose weight. The way I kind of approach that is saying that Shakeology is going to make you lose weight just by consuming it is like saying that eating healthy, like a chicken salad, is going to make you lose weight just by eating it. It's not. It really has more to do with what are the other things that you eat and what is your lifestyle like. So if your lifestyle is burgers and fries and then you eat a chicken salad, yeah, you probably will lose some weight because you're not really eating all that healthy. But if your normal diet is salads and, lots of veggies and lots of fruits, then what you're adding to that by Shakeology is you're just adding a super concentrated version of the stuff you already eat, plus some nutrients that you probably aren't eating because you can't. A lot of these phytonutrients are not things that you could just pick up from the regular grocery store, So we really have to kind of get Shakeology out of people's minds as being another meal replacement shake, because it really isn't another meal replacement shake. You can use it that way, but you could absolutely eat 3 meals a day and then have it as a snack, so we gotta. Oh yeah, exactly. That's how Alana does it. That's how my dad did it for the longest, and he's diabetic, but he it wasn't enough to sustain him, because it's not meant to be. It wasn't enough to sustain him as a meal, so he had it as a snack, but he saw all kinds of benefits and still lost a bunch of weight, drinking it, even when it was in addition to his normal diet. So that's kind of how I've been approaching it.
Yeah. I mean, in my, like, when I was first starting out, like, I had it as a meal, like I had it as my lunch. And then as I started, looking at more, like, especially during 80-day obsession, like when you're eating so much all the time, like my body switched over to the point where, like, I eat 3 meals a day and I have a big shake. And, to maintain the muscles that I have.
Oh, absolutely.
Something that you said about, trying to remember what you said. This is what I get for not even wanting to interrupt you.
Was it the veggies?
It might have been the veggies, or maybe it was like, I think I just wanted to talk about, like, something else is, like, because if you guys don't know, there's actually a podcast that Darren Aline and Sandy Buadana did, like, 2 years ago. It's like maybe 16 episodes. It's called, I'll get you the name of it. It's basically, if you just look up Shakeology, like in podcasts, there is a podcast series that talks about, like, all these different things about Shakeology. And one of the things that Darren talked about was, like, talking about Shakeology when people are like, oh, I like to eat real food and whole food. And one of the, like, really main important points that they, because they go to all these lengths to, like, maintain the integrity of all of the foods that they include in it. And so there's a big difference between eating processed food versus whole food and having a powdered shake versus whole food, because when they process Shakeology, they do it to maintain the integrity of the natural compounds in all of the plants. And so, each ingredient that goes into it has a different processing method based on the compounds that they're trying to preserve. So, whether it's, dehydrating it very slowly, whether it's like a certain temperature that they have to use, whatever process they go through to make sure that the compounds stay as intact as possible, that is not the same as having a food that is, like, bleached and hydrolyzed and pulled apart and then has, like, nutrients added back in to make, the nutrition panel in the back of the box look good. Like, that's what happens with a lot of processed foods, is they take everything out and, like, make it totally, simplified and bleached and sanitized, and then they add back in artificial like vitamins and minerals and things like that to kind of, like, make it have some sort of nutritive factor. Whereas Shakeology, what they're doing is they're leaving everything alone and they're treating it in such a way that it, maintains the original formula and compounds of things that make it such a good product. So if somebody says, I like to eat my food, I don't want to eat processed food, like, that's another thing you can say is, like, it's not processed like processed food. It goes through a process to make it more available to your body. And that's the other thing is, like, they make it bioavailable to your body. That basically it puts it into a form that your body is better able to absorb than if you were just to go out and, like, eat all of the radishes and onions. So that was another thing.
If I can interrupt really quick, I learned something recently that I found was really funny. So you're talking about people that are like, I want to get my nutrients from whole food and I'd rather, get it directly from veggies and fruits. So I found out that juicing is for weight loss is really not a great idea. So people don't realize this, but the glucose stores in fruit are basically bound to the fiber that's in fruit. And when you juice something, and even sometimes when you blend it, you actually separate the glucose from the fiber. And it goes from being more of like it's not a complex carb, but it's a harder carb to for your body to get a hold of than it is if it's just like free floating glucose. So by juicing a bunch of fruit and drinking it, you're actually turning it into more of like a soda, like boom, sugar hits your system type of thing, rather than something that your body has to take its time and break the glucose away from the fiber and then consume it. And you end up actually excreting, and most of that sugar comes out because you never got it unbound from the fiber. So it always kind of makes me giggle a little bit, because you're absolutely right. Like, they've gone in and they've done the research and they make Shakeology something that's so bioavailable in the right way, but is so as pure as they can get it for those products and the way your body was meant to digest them. And it just cracks me up when people bash Shakeology for being a shake and that you're getting your nutrients in such a bad way. And these are the same people that are like juicing their carrots and their fruit and don't realize that, one, they're throwing out all the fiber, which is the good stuff, and two, they just basically turned it into a giant popsicle or like a cup of sugar. And yeah, they may have gotten a little bit of the nutrients from it, but they've really turned it into something that is not good for you, like, at all.
We have like 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have anything else to add? Okay, awesome. Thanks, you guys. Well, as usual, we run out of time, but that's okay. Yeah, I will repost the replay. If you guys have anything to add it into the chat too. Like, as you think of things, like, it'd be great just to kind of continue to share all the information that we all read about. So have a great night, you guys. Sorry, we're running out of time. I love you talking. All right. Bye.
Bye.